Hello, my name is Marcia Therese Danzig, and I am here with my father, Robert J. Danzig, former president of Hearst Newspapers and executive vice president of the Hearst Corporation. He's a motivational speaker and a wonderful father, and he's going to talk today a little bit about the difference between management and leadership. So, Dad, can you tell us a little bit about what leadership is and what management is?
Well, first of all, the most important thing you just said was wonderful father. I love that, of course. But, well, here's my experience, okay, in running a large multi-billion-dollar company for 20 years. And before that, being published for a newspaper. Before that, starting my career as an office boy, is that I was always observing those people that seem to guide the destiny of a place as contrasted to simply the function of a place. And as I began to study those attributes in people, I reached a certain kind of philosophical determination that there really is a difference between managing and leading. That management is about today, and leadership is about tomorrow. That management is about process, and leadership is about purpose, noble purpose. And the management feeds the body of a place, but leadership nurtures the spirit of a place. And I see those as fundamentally different. That a good functioning place, good functioning, well managed, may never excel. That when you tilt towards being conscious of the impact of leadership versus leaning towards management, that tilt invites excellence in an organization. So that I really believe in my heart that the management function is essential, but the leadership function is a choice. That management is about today, as I said, all right, today's functionality. And leadership is about nurturing those things that become the strategic underpinnings of tomorrow. And I know I'm repeating myself a bit, but it's to make the point that management is about process. For example, on my watch, we're delivering 11 million Hearst newspapers every week. You have to have a process to do that. When people went out in the morning at 6:30, they expect their paper to be there. And they weren't going to celebrate the fact that you knew how to do that. That's kind of a given that you know how to manage the process. But leadership is when that same newspaper, wherever it was in the country, chose to focus on an issue that could elevate and improve the living conditions of the people in that market, whether it's San Francisco or Houston or San Antonio, or wherever it may have been. That's because you're exerting leadership to focus on those things that represent the power of a newspaper to influence the community. So on the one hand, the process helps you create it. The choice to lead helps you magnify the noble purpose of that newspaper. And similarly, on my watch, we had 6,000 employee colleagues. They deserve to know that their paychecks were going to be cashed, that their vacations would be funded, that their pension would be funded. That's feeding the body of a place. Must be done. Must be done. Yet, when you choose to focus on the leadership that nurtures the spirit of an organization, and I believe you do that mainly by celebrating the talents of a place. When you take the time to celebrate the talents of a place, it invites those talents to flow more robustly. That's what creates a sense of excellence in a place. It can never be mandated or ordered. You simply create the climate that invites that place to excel. It always excels because it's lifted by the spirit of the folks who are bringing their talent to a place. So my experience is there's a fundamental difference between managing and leading. And yet you're invited to make the choice to lead just a tad more than manage. That's what creates a great organization.
May I ask you just one other question? Could you give our viewers maybe 5 tips that differentiate a person from being a manager and a leader?
Well, one of those is to come out of the comfort zone of managing only. There is something secure about simply ordering people to do certain steps. So you have to move out of that comfort zone to create the climate of leadership that invites people to share their talents more abundantly. I also believe that another key is to be conscious of the fact of celebrating your colleagues, finding ways to salute and celebrate them. That to me is a fundamental step in leading well. Another is to be cultivating your own sense of what makes for better tomorrows. Write them down. They may just be dream talk to start with, but all the dream talk becomes a vision, becomes a strategy, becomes an example of leading an organization versus simply functioning in a well-led, well-managed place. I think also that leaders are curious. They're always curious about the next new thing. That doesn't mean they run around studying all the time, but they have an open mind to embrace those things that represent the pathway of progress. And fundamentally, I believe that leaders are also anchored. They're secure, they're confident without any ego or false pride. They know through their own experiences that they've earned the right to lead rather than simply manage. So those are a handful of tips.
Thank you so much for all that information. And if you'd like to learn more about my father's work, you can go to www.bobdanzig.com to find out about his speeches, his motivational speeches, his confidence course, all of his products. Thanks for joining today. All the best.